No King's Day.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
sure the LA Kings were just ecstatic.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think the LA King, you know.
So, I mean, like, no King's Day. And I saw this thing, so I think I may have told you guys both this offline, but I think it's notable enough to share. It's pretty funny. I don't know if this was something Trump really put out there, or if this is just some clever thing that somebody put out there, like some Photoshop using his screen grab. But supposedly, Trump was thanking like basically it's a post from Trump saying thank you all, thank you Democrats, for another successful No King's Day. As we can see, you've helped me a lot. I'm your president still. No king took over. Thank you. Basically, he's thanking them for preventing a king from taking his spot.
hmm
Right. So one of the three things, it could be fake. I highly suspect it's fake
hmm
because it is a uber level trolling of a bunch of people. Right. So it could be fake. Secondly, it could be something that he put out there and he's really going mentally insane. He has no idea that No King's Day is referring to him, which I doubt. Thirdly, it could be just a brilliant trolling move.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's not a king; he's a president.
Yes, but the gag is, like, guys, No King's Day was successful. I've held on to my spot as president. I am still in charge. No king came in here and took over. Thank you all for your help. No King's Day success. I know you did it for me. I'm glad. I'm happy. Thank you for the support.
Yeah, I mean,
But at the same time, he also did. But this is something that I did confirm. He put out a cool generated AI post with him flying an F-18 Raptor, I think, where it said King Trump on the side, and he's flying. He's got a crown on, and he's raining down.
so that was real. That was he really posted
He
that.
really did that. He's raining down poop on the
I
protesters.
mean, like, and people was like, oh, it's just so,
So
complaining
childish. I
about it.
mean,
Yeah,
but
childish.
it's totally on brand. You got to admit. I mean,
It's
it's
Trump.
amusing. The things that dude does, dude, from anybody else, it would elicit a giggle,
Oh
right?
yeah, it made me giggle.
Me
But
too.
like the thing about it is like, thank God he's not a king or like a real fascist dictator, because you know what I'm saying. Like when you really think about it, Trump is the only president where we've had to tolerate disrespect. You know what I'm saying,
Oh yeah,
from people within our country and outside, right? That wouldn't have been tolerated with a lot of other presidents. You know what I'm saying? Like the level of disrespect, the level of parody that is used, it just wouldn't be
yeah.
tolerated. But
But
like with
here,
Trump,
but
it
there's a
is.
good question. I mean, like, what would they have done? I mean, like, what would other? I mean,
I
it's
like.
it's
I
unprecedented. Well, okay, so I'm not talking about other countries' presidents. I'm talking about ours. So it's an unprecedented level of parody, right? I mean, in the past, the most they've. Okay, I mean, let's talk about recent memory because they in the past, the distant
Mhm.
past, they did political cartoons. They did political caricature, right? That
Right.
happened all the time. Okay, and actually, some of that shit was pretty harsh.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've seen a couple of them.
some stuff was pretty harsh, but in recent memory, it all started with basically on when it comes to modern media. SNL was the first to ever do it, and I guess their first thing to do was they came about after Nixon. Nixon's lucky
Mhm.
for that. They came out with Ford, and Ford, all they could do about that dude was show him as a bumbling fool. I mean, Ford actually invited that by tripping on the stairs to Air Force One.
Wow.
So Ford was. It happened at least twice in his presidency where he actually misstepped on Air Force One and fell down. He tripped and fell.
Oh, he fell down or he fell up the stairs.
Oh, both. I forget how it is. You should look it up. But the funny thing was, is he actually did that. So that created him as this uncoordinated fool, right? That and
Mhm.
then Chevy Chase played him on SNL.
Oh
So
wow.
Chevy Chase was constantly tripping as Gerald Ford,
Yeah.
which is hilarious because Ford was a a college football star. He was
Mm-hmm.
probably the most athletic president
Ever.
to ever be in office, considering that at least one president before him was in a freaking wheelchair, right? Ford was probably the single most athletic president ever to set foot in the office.
Mm-hmm.
So Ford got made fun of for tripping on the stairs. Nixon was gone. They would have roasted that dude bad.
Yeah.
But Reagan, they just got him for loving jelly beans. They got him for loving jelly beans, and they made fun of his aw shucks persona, right? He's like, they showed him as like as a mama's boy kind of, except the mama was his wife.
Oh
He's
yeah.
always deferring to Nancy, you know.
Yeah.
And then then you got first Bush. And what did they do to first Bush? I can't remember what they did to first Bush.
Mm-hmm.
They
Oh
actually
no.
made fun of Dan Quayle quite a bit.
I mean, shoot. The only funny character of George Bush, the first one, was the Simpsons episode.
Yeah, well,
When
after he
Homer fought,
retired.
yeah, when Homer fought him on the front lawn.
Yeah, and then you suddenly remembered that George Bush isn't somebody to mess with because he was actually the director of the CIA.
He was on
You
Homer's
forget that
ass.
George Bush was the director of CIA. Remember that? He's like,
Yeah.
here's something I
Homer-
learned in CIA. He's like pulling out a garrote wire.
Yeah, he did. I forgot about that.
you
But
don't have for George Bush, man.
I
So,
think, but it was like that was one of the funnier episodes.
he was.
He did have one, like, I still think it was so stupid, but like Homer had two cutouts of his son. He was like, "It's your sons, Jeb Bush Jr. and George Bush." He was like, "Oh, the boys are outside." He raised the thing up. I think he threw something on top of him. I was like, "Oh, Homer is on his ass." Like,
Yeah,
he's
Homer's
a former
yeah.
president.
So every now and then, Homer just is freaking brilliant.
He was, yo, Homer was.
Wait, didn't Bush and Homer end up in the sewers when they were fighting when he pulled
Yeah,
out? Yeah.
when he say he learned this from the
Yeah,
CIA.
something I learned,
Yeah.
little something I learned in the CIA, and he pulls out. Holy crap! So there's that Bush, and of course they got him for his one-term thing. Oh wait, yeah. So that was his big thing, and then of course after him, Dan Quayle had no hope of winning, right? So then you got Clinton coming on in, and they
Yeah,
had
they
a
had an
ton of stuff
episode
for
with Clinton,
Clinton.
but he was lighthearted though. I forgot what.
Yeah,
what they
I mean,
did.
but Clinton rides all these things well. I mean, like Clinton got, let's see, what did they get him for?
Lewinsky.
Did they
Lewinsky.
though? I mean, it happened, but did SNL jump on that and really go for it? I don't remember if they did.
I don't know.
They had at least one on it.
Yeah,
I
they
know
had a
that.
couple skits on it, but that's the difference though. If that had been Trump, that would be never ending. It would be nonstop, right?
It'll be never ending, and then people will talk about it, and like, we got a president getting his dick sucked in.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing because, all these other presidents, they did something, non-presidential, and it was just a moment, and it was gone, right? So Clinton, he got that big Willie style going on in the Oval Office, and it was like a blip, right? It was just a blip. Or what else? They got the Whitewater scandal, another blip, right? And of course, they made more fun of his wife than they did of him.
Oh, who?
Hillary. I mean,
Hillary.
during Clinton's term, Hillary Clinton was seen as like as the Machiavellian shrew behind everything that the president was trying not to sleep with. It was pretty bad for her. Then after him, he had 2 terms. Obviously, he did the 2-term thing that his dad couldn't do, and then you had Clinton walk. I'm sorry. Then you got what's his name? You got Bush
Obama?
2.
Yeah, Bush too. Yeah.
Bush 2 had 2 terms. And Bush 2 didn't really get a lot of crap from SNL.
No, the only thing I remember that.
Oh, wait a
was,
second. Iraq invasion.
What they do?
Remember, because we invaded Iraq claiming WM
Weapons of mass destruction.
we
Yeah,
didn't find squat.
we find shit.
But then again, I don't think they really prodded him because it was a war, right? You really can't.
You
It's
can't prod a
really,
president of the war.
honestly, it's really bad form to, because it's something that the nation's trying to do, and you trying to bring down the presidency during an actual war is kind of
They'll do that. They'll do that to Trump.
Anti-America, right? It's like, you're destabilizing the country. I mean,
they wouldn't care if it was Trump though. If Trump came and was like, they got weapons of mass destruction, they'll still try to impeach him.
Yeah.
They'll do a no King's protest.
There's that question though. I mean, like SNL, would they go all in if we were actually in the middle of a real war, like a declared full-on, like Korea or Vietnam or two?
If it was Trump, yes. I don't think they'll do that with other people. Like, even thinking about it, like, did they do anything to Obama? Did they say anything about Obama?
No, Obama didn't.
Yeah, because they probably would have called him racist. The only time I ever seen anybody criticize Obama was the Boondocks, and it was somebody else who criticized Obama.
Hold on. Wait a second, guys. We should make sure that this audio is coming through. Hold on. I can see my mic reacting.
What about my mic?
There we go. I can see yours now, too. Hold on. Let me make sure that... Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't do the sound check.
Test. Okay, I can see mine. Good.
Okay, you got me?
Let's see your guys's.
Yep.
Yep. We got it going. Sound check is okay.
Okay.
Making sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, but that's the thing though. Wars are a different thing. I mean, like a real war is a different thing.
Yeah.
Just because this. Remember, okay, so none of us have been through this, but World War II, right? There's a lot of controversy surrounding how we got into it. Okay. The country wasn't fully behind being involved. I mean, think about it. The U.S. is separated from, the only war that we would really be concerned with is Canada or Mexico because they touch us, right?
Mm.
But what was happening in the Pacific theater and in the European theater were totally, like an ocean away, right? We had the Pacific between us and the war in the East. We had the Atlantic between us and the war in the West. Actually, it's weird how you call it East and West, right?
But if we're in the middle, it's the East and West.
Yeah. So if you really think about it, we had that big buffer. There's no way that they're going to march over and attack us, right? So the U.S. felt really secure and and the population are this is not our war. Why do we want to send? We were sending, we were blockading. We were sending materials and that form of aid, right? But we weren't involved in the war as a combatant.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the reason why is the country didn't want to do it. Like no one was really rushing to do it because they're never going to touch us no matter who wins. Like they ain't going to touch us. And the only reason why we jumped into it with manpower is because Japan hit us.
Yeah.
Right. It was a direct attack on us. Now we have, and the public was fully behind that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Okay. And there's controversy in that supposedly, and we will never know probably, there's talk that at the highest level they knew it was coming. They even knew, maybe not to the day, but they knew it was imminent. They knew that Japan was going to attack us. They had intercepted enough intelligence and movement of ships. They knew that it was going to happen, and they let it happen. I can see that. They let it happen in order to get the country behind the effort.
Yeah. Because I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, we'd have never jumped in, right?
Yeah.
And so
if they would have swatted Japan and they never hit Pearl Harbor, what do you think the U.S. would have did?
Well, here's the thing though. In order for us to have preemptively struck Japan, we would have to declare war. Right. We would have, the president would have had to come out with the intelligence and convince Congress to allow a declaration of war. I'm not sure that's the right term. Right. Mm-hmm. The president can declare war, but it has to be, and I'm not sure the right terminology, but it has to pass through. There's the checks and balances of the system, right? The president can't just declare war without Congress backing it, right? Which is something that they're debating now because supposedly the president's declared war on drug traffickers in the Caribbean.
Oh yeah.
So
Maduro.
that's kind of, it's like, is it really war? I don't know, but
Some people ready.
yeah, but now, like, that's the thing, and so we've seen what happens when the country is not in agreement. Like Vietnam, we had a country, half of it didn't want to go, half of it was gung ho, and they can never agree on anything about it. And we kind of went half-assed in Vietnam, right? We didn't go after like we did with World War II, right? Even Korea was kind of half-assed. We stopped when we should have chased them, and like, we could have stomped China down right there. Right. Anyway, so, and lawmakers know this now. I mean, like, they're more nuanced. So back then, they didn't. So that's why when W went all WMD, yes, there were lawmakers opposed to going in there, right? But they toned down their rhetoric and they let it happen, right? Because if they had fought him on it, then we'd probably do a Vietnam in the Middle East, because because the Iraq War ended with Saddam Hussein getting deposed and captured. I mean, that effectively we effectively won that war. Whether or not the reasons we went in ended up being justified, because at the end we looked and said, "Oh, didn't find squat," right? But they allowed us to do it. When I say the lawmakers allowed it to go through and happen. And nobody questioned, like, no major outlets questioned our right to be there or do it, right? Because you start questioning that, then it risks our fighting men and women. Right. So the question is, if we were to like honestly go toe to toe with who knows, Russia, China, whoever it is that Trump can actually declare war on, right? And we commit. So let's say he declares war, it gets backed, and they go in for it. SNL constantly attacking the war effort. I mean, like, they would probably get a real stern visit from some extreme higher ups telling them back the fuck down, because you're hurting our guys. I mean, like, every time you do something think about it, Vietnam, constant protests, right? Constant protests of that war, calling out our troops for doing things. I mean, like, okay, so I mean, I know a few Vietnam veterans, and they actually talk about coming home and being called baby killers.
Yeah. People don't respect veterans. I mean, and I'm not gonna say it's hard, but it's like, you were like a drone. Like, you know what I'm saying? You took orders and didn't really think, like, what were the repercussions. And you were and honestly, like, I feel bad for some of these people, because like they're put in situations where it's like they just went and applied for a job. They, like, people who went to Iraq did not want to go there and do what they had to do. People who went to Vietnam did not want to have to do some of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because like,
And
they got met with stuff that we would never imagine.
They didn't even realize they'd be out there. I mean, like, a lot of them figured, oh, it's a great way to go to college.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's crazy because, like, it was a movie. I mean, well, of course, it's a book too. All Quiet on the Western Front, and it's the same thing. They, like, people don't understand how horrific war is until you're in it. You don't realize, like, how combat is. Like, I think now, and what I really like, a lot of the movies that depict war are so graphic to where I don't agree with it at all.
Oh yeah,
I remember watching Forrest Gump, and I still didn't think war was that traumatic.
Oh, dude, when you some of the hyper realism, I mean, but here's the funny thing: there is a small group of people, right, who are jonesing for action.
True.
Right. I mean, like, they're the one. I mean, these are the guys who basically they're lifers. They're there, looking for the next conflict.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, but think about this. Think about like a bunch of protests in the country. You're there doing your job because they are doing a job. Because it is a job. I mean, if you really think about it, for most people, because I mean, okay, if it wasn't a job, they wouldn't be paid.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't feel like they get paid enough.
Yeah, it's a job, and that's the reason why a lot of the guys I know, like once they go private contracting, it's a whole different ballpark.
Oh, they get paid way more.
Oh, dude, private contracting is insane. But the thing about private contracting is, you're going to be in the shit all the time for most of these guys.
Oh, you're always fighting?
Well, you're not always fighting. See, private contractors typically, their security is what is what they are. So they're security in high risk areas, right? So they're in war zones as private security for people who are in the midst, constantly in the midst of conflict, right? So they have a higher chance of getting hit than anybody else. But the money is insane. I guess it depends on what you want to risk for your money, but the money can be insane. But just imagine, like, the country is not behind what you're doing. You're over there doing your job, right? You're just some regular guy. I mean, like, even a cook on base, you're doing your job.
You're doing your job.
And there's half the country that is basically, they're acting as if you can choose not to do your job.
Yeah,
it's that ain't how it works. I mean, like, you're in the military, you follow orders, right?
You follow orders, even if you have to go find weapons of mass destruction, even though you're not about to
there. Or you follow order. I mean, like, it's like, like a bunch of protesters here, like, are saying that the war is wrong and that the troops shouldn't even be there, and you in the military being there, you're not part of the problem. That's your job. I mean,
it's your job, and we need a military.
Yeah.
It's the people who call those shots that are the problem.
Yeah. I mean, and do they even realize what happens? I mean, if somebody in the military chooses not to follow orders?
Oh yeah, they get reprimanded.
Yeah.
Beyond reprimanded. I mean, like, it can screw your hunt. I mean, like, if you don't follow orders, I mean, you're looking at, I mean, depending on especially what they're asking you to do, you're looking at court-martial, dishonorable discharge. That follows you.
Yeah.
Right? That's always going to be a question. You've been dishonorably discharged.
Yeah.
It's almost, for certain career moves, it's almost like having been in jail.
That's true. I think until, like, and I would hate for it to happen. It isn't until we have another 9/11 type incident or a string of them to where people will actually give respect to people in the military.
Yeah.
Like, I think I just seen this movie. I want to say it's on Paramount Plus. Is it on Paramount Plus or yeah, it's on Paramount Plus. It's called Warfare, and it's directed by, like, a former Army vet. Where, like, I felt like this wasn't even. It was no plot, no nothing. It was just really It was just warfare. They took you in a day where these guys had to shoot it out with, I'm not gonna say the Taliban, but people in Iraq, because, like, this is before ISIS. Like, literally, they show up and they show, like, the military, like, they worked at night. Because I just started hearing
Is it actual real footage, or is it?
No, it's not real footage. It's a remake of something that actually happened.
Okay.
Where these guys was in an apartment, military guy. They in an apartment. They tracking some suspects, and the suspects find them and shoot it out with them. And it kind of, like, it kind of made you think to yourself, well, you in their country. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm seeing all sides in this movie. I'm like, well, you in their country. Despite what you in their country for, you in their country, and they shot it out with them. And it was like they were outgunned. Where, like, the climax is that they get hit by a rocket. And, like, they showed the people who got hit by the rocket after the movie. These guys can't even walk anymore. Yeah, it was real people. They can't even walk anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like they showing all of that, where it was just like, why were they there? Why did they have to go through that?
I mean, that's why it should be the last resort.
It should be the last resort. But I feel like, I mean, it's just like how, like, I hate bringing up conspiracies, but it's just how I think. Like how you just said, like they knew about Pearl Harbor and they kind of let it happen.
Not kind of. They did let it happen.
They let it happen. I feel the same way about 9/11. Like that could have been prevented. Somebody wanted us to go to war.
Well, I see that one. I'm not so sure about. Just because, okay. I mean, like, yeah, you can argue back and forth on that. I mean, like, honestly,
I'm not, because we don't know the truth.
yeah, honestly though, as a move, that's pretty bold. You know, that's a pretty bold. You know, allowing that to happen to justify
I don't think nobody's that
war
greedy, but I'll be surprised.
and that was a moment though, dude. The war on terror. Think about that. There's no
The war on
defined
terror.
country. It's the war on terror.
Yeah.
Right. That's never been done before. It's a pretty bold move. So could it have been? But you know, the one thing that makes you rethink if it was a calculated move is that moment shook up all U.S. intelligence. Okay, it pointed out all the glaring holes in our intelligence structure. The fact that the agencies don't communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The fact that you could just hop on a plane with anything.
Yeah, at least not in a meaningful way. You know, there's way too many things that fall through the cracks because they dismiss them offhand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like and so it did mean like it completely changed the way that intelligence and law enforcement worked. I mean, it was massive. And so, yeah, I mean, could it have been orchestrated? I mean, not orchestrated. Could it have been something they knew about let happen? Possible, right? Maybe it can go both ways. But when you look at, and the thing is that time will tell on that. The more that comes to light regarding what led up to it. Because now we're looking at Pearl Harbor, and there was, I mean, there's a lot there that and it's a conspiracy theory, yeah, but it's quite possible. And other items, right? Like, did we have to drop atomic bombs on Japan? No, we didn't.
We didn't. That, like, even that, like, it was thousands of people who died.
Well, but here's that question though. Okay, so it brings up a question. Okay, so we as Americans and as American leaders, they worry about Americans, right? See, to me, whatever saves American lives in a conflict is all I care about, right?
True.
I will give up 10 times their population to save like 100 Americans.
True.
Right. And so did we have to drop the bomb? I mean, like, we would have won anyway. That's a fact. I mean, like, they're a nation. Even when they attacked us, they were pretty much a nation on their lap. They attacked us because they had been cut off from all supplies. There's no way that they would I mean, like, they're an island nation with no resources. They have no oil. You know, they do not have oil. All the fuel that runs the war machines is coming from oil, right? They have none of it, right? And with us ruling the seas, they'd never get any. They would at some point in time just grind to a halt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even when they first started up with us, that was desperate on their part. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Super desperate move. They had to. Okay, they thought, well, let's make this move while we still have the strength. They thought that maybe they'd be able to take us on, right? They still had the strength. Because if they'd waited long enough, it'd be over for them, right? So do we have to drop a bomb on them? No, we would have won anyway, right? Mm-hmm. But that may have ended the war weeks earlier, months earlier, right? And weeks and months with the way the Japanese fought us was a lot of lives.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I forgot what movie did I see where it was like,
oh, the Japanese.
They did land and fight in Japan, didn't they?
They were brutal. No, we never fought there. We never had a land invasion in Japan. What's it called? I think we did land in.
It was like Okinawa.
We did land in Okinawa. Iwo Jima was where they planted the flag. But the most intense fighting was in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, and the Japanese in the Philippines were pretty much, they were fighting to the last man. I mean, they didn't give up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, like, in one way, that's, that's the last measure type situation, but they did not give up.
Yeah.
They basically, their goal was to take as many people with them. That was their entire goal, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, especially with an imperial fighting force, that's admirable. Okay.
But that's why, like, I feel like it's just like war doesn't really make sense to kind of solve problems. That's just me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Of course I can.
Well, remember, it doesn't solve problems. Remember, you don't solve problems with war,
Uh,
right? Okay, so the only justification for war in the past, and we've evolved as a race of people, as a human race, we've evolved past it, which is kind of, I don't know, a lot of ways I think that we humans have evolved too much beyond nature, right? We're reaching a point where we make decisions that are unnatural, right?
yeah.
Nations have always tried to expand.
True.
It's always been the way they were. And in the past, it was through wars that they expanded. Either wars or alliances, right? You formed alliances until it didn't work, and then you went to war. Right? So a lot of the alliances in the past, especially when things were ruled by royalty, were created through marriage. Oh, which queen was that? Is it Queen? One of the is it Queen Victoria, whose children basically ran every country in Europe? Okay, get this. This is where it's like coming into World War I, the Kaiser, the King of England, and the Tsar were all first cousins.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you got to realize their grandmother, right, married off her kids to all the royal families all over Europe. Basically, it was all one big pseudo British family.
And even that, like, you put the public into a war, like that's.
Well, it crumbled. I mean, like, they like I said, they use marriage to kind of make ties until it doesn't work, right?
Right.
Until one of them finally realizes, I mean, wars happen because some country wants to expand its borders.
That's all.
That's how it happened. I mean, like,
expand their borders and want more resources.
yeah, that's how it always has worked.
Yeah. I mean, I think even like, the whole Taiwan China situation is really like they're just trying to expand their border and make sure they're not blocked in by the US having control in Japan and the control in the Philippines.
Well, I mean, Taiwan and China is more of a pissing. I mean, like that's
that too.
That's more of a grudge match between cousins, if you really think about it. That's what that is, right? I mean, you have, and here's what's crazy. This is what's really crazy. The only reason why Taiwan exists is because of Maoist China. I hope I'm getting this right. It is China's reforms that booted out all the highly educated people.
Oh yeah.
They look down upon the overly educated, right? The elites. They look down upon the elites, and so they came
Mao
in,
and them being communists, right?
Yeah, they came in there, and it was a brother thing. Like, they basically wanted to bring communism/socialism into play. They wanted to get rid of all these ruling class people. They wanted the people to rule through communism, right? So they want to get rid of all the ruling class people, the rich people, the overly educated. So if you had a PhD, you were pretty much screwed. You could be put in prison for being too educated. They seized all your properties, and so people fled, with hard wealth.
Yep.
Precious metals and stones. They
went to this island.
They bailed, right? The intelligentsia bailed. Some came to America. There's a ton of really wealthy Chinese people from that time in Vancouver. Okay,
makes sense.
They went there. Some went to the Philippines. So I mean, they just ran to wherever they could, right?
Where they didn't have to deal with communism.
Yeah.
Because I realized, like, after communism, China was broke.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that, these policies that they enacted, imploded. I mean, the policies that they had, they tried to subjugate nature. Right? This is crazy. Do you guys know that they had this thing about pests? They were trying to get rid of pests. Among those pests were, I want to say sparrows or swallows, a bird, right? Like the little bird. They try to get rid of these things. And you know why they try to get rid of them? Because they ate grain.
Oh, yeah.
So they saw these birds as a threat to food production for humans. Okay, but more than grain, they ate insects. Okay, so it turns out that these birds were what they call a keystone species.
Mm-hmm.
You eliminate that, and the whole ecosystem starts to collapse.
True.
Right. So they were actually giving bounty. I mean, they were a shoot on sight and poison animal. They were killing them. Okay, and China just. I mean, they didn't. I mean, like, there's another insect. I think there's the birds and something else where they try to eliminate them. And it just wreaked havoc. And everything about what went on collapsed. And look at it now. What's crazy is that, okay, Taiwan became a financial powerhouse. I mean, like, look, there's a whole made in Taiwan thing. What's in Taiwan now? Factories. I mean, they're producing goods. There's intellectual property coming out. Taiwan is a modern place. It's a capitalist economy.
Yeah.
Right? What is China now? China still says they're communists, but they're not. There's McDonald's in China. There's more millionaires popping out of China every minute than most. China's turning capitalist because their socialist system, their communist system, failed.
Yeah.
Same thing with Russia. All these countries that fractured
communist.
The world. Yeah.
They changed.
Failing gloriously. And now, pretty much China is what Taiwan is. And I mean, think about it. I mean, like, Taiwan is sitting there going, why should we become part of you again? Because it's like we split off and did this thing, and you guys did this failed thing, and now you're us again. And you want to, no, it's like, why do they want to reunify with China?
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting scenario in the future. I just wish it doesn't come to war, even though it's looking like it will.
Another thing, though, here's what's funny. There's no way that Taiwan can go to war with China. It's impossible, right? Except with its allies, right?
Oh, yeah, they got to use their friends.
But allies-wise, do they have any? Really, technically, not really. Because
technically not, but
because the U.S. does not recognize them as a country.
They say that, but they do.
Yeah, I mean, because we need them.
Yeah, and we're not trying to do that because we're not trying to make China mad.
Yeah, we're not trying to make waves, but they I mean, it's like one of those unsaid things. But what's crazy is this, okay? What nobody ever talks about is that these Taiwanese people are Chinese. They're from mainland China. Okay. Mm-hmm. When they went to Taiwan, there were Taiwanese people there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was natives.
There are natives there. Okay. The natives of Taiwan, in terms of the look of them, they have more in common with like the natives of, let's say, northern Philippines or like southern Japan than they do with Chinese people. They are not Chinese looking at all. They look like
islanders.
People look like islanders, and but they're distinctly different looking. They're a very unique race of people, and they're now a marginalized group in their own country. Okay, so the Chinese it was not an unoccupied island. There were people there. Okay, but once again, that's the way the world works. If you aren't strong enough to hold on to your shit, you're going to lose your shit.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it's always worked. That's the reason why reparations don't. How are we ever gonna make the Native Americans whole again in terms of like an insurance situation? We can't. I mean, the entire continent was taken from them, right? But that's how things were done back then. We can't superimpose today's values on the actions of the past.
That's true. But I think what you can do is not oppress them to where they
Oh, I mean,
will
yeah,
have.
obviously you don't oppress me because things are different now. So we going forward, things are different. But what happened in the past happened. Because think about it. If we were to give the land back to the Native Americans or try to compensate them for it, right? The entire world would be screwed, right? Because now at that point in time, Spain and the U.S. would have to compensate the Philippines, right? We'd have to compensate Cuba. Well, not us. Spain would have to compensate Cuba.
And the
And
French gonna
we
have
as
to
Americans wouldn't
compensate
be the ones
everybody.
compensating the Native Americans. It would be the British and the French. They're the ones who
Yep.
took it in the first place, and then us later on, right? As America, right? The entirety of South America would have to be compensated
Compensated.
by Portugal, it's Italy, Spain. I mean, I think Italy, but all these countries. I mean, the entire world has been rewritten through conflict. There's no way that. And if you go back even further, right? So the countries that did all this to the world, they were conquered too, right?
Mm.
In the end, the earliest cultures would have to pay everybody, like the Greeks and the Romans would owe everybody because they took over.
Everybody.
Freaking Alexander the Great took over the world, right?
Yeah,
In his
I get
time,
it,
it doesn't
and
work.
I get it, but
Yeah.
I think a form of reparations, right? And the only thing is like China not going to hear this. You know what I'm saying? China ain't about to listen to me. Just leave it as it is, and we can't take over. You know what I'm saying? Because look what's happening with Ukraine and Russia.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Literally trying to take over a country.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
say trying to take over a country.
here's that thing though. I mean, like, are those the new rules? I mean, are the new rules you can't take over anything anymore? Is that how it works now?
I feel like it should. The map is already set, but people want to change the map, and it is
Well,
what it is.
I mean, but remember, even in the past, right? So in the past, let's say,
Mm,
okay, so the map has been set many times over, right? So let's forget about discovery, right?
mm,
So like when the European nations sailed the world and quote unquote discovered all these countries, right? Let's talk about stuff that's a little bit more modern after that,
mm,
right? Like what do we have? Who's taken the creation of Israel,
mm,
right? The creation of all the Soviet countries, the Soviet republics,
mm.
because that all happened. All those land masses were restructured after
Yeah.
World War II. Okay, so that's what happens when you're on the losing side. You end up getting your crap divided amongst the winners, right?
Hmm.
Okay, right. So, they have countries have gone in there and annexed other countries. They've done these kind of things. The only reason why you can't do it anymore is because the world's divided into people who have allied with each other,
True.
right? But the funny thing is this is Ukraine, right? So Ukraine is calling out to everybody else who are supposed to be their allies, okay, to try, hey, help me, right? Only
Yep.
reason why Russia can't commit its full military might is that other countries may step in, right?
Yeah. That's true. Like
But
other
will
countries have
they?
already stepped in. That's why it's like, I like and
Wait, but when you say stepped in, how have they stepped in? I mean, like,
I
have
mean
they
they
committed?
supplying aid, they supplying weapons,
Yeah, but have they
and they
commit?
doing it on consignment.
But have they
Like they
committed
not they not
troops?
really getting money from
So
Ukraine.
remember, aid and weapons is one thing. That's what we were giving Europe in World War II. We did, but
Yeah.
what will it take for those countries to actually step in with a military?
I think what will happen, and I think this would if if Putin goes nuclear, people gonna step in.
Dude, nuclear. It's. Do you mean goes nuclear as in uses nuclear weapons?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't. Nuclear weapons, I think, are the. I don't think we're in danger of nuclear except for from one place,
China.
Korea, North
Oh
Korea.
yeah. Yeah,
Because
because it's
the
like
thing is,
you know.
nobody's dumb enough to, I mean, using a nuclear weapon pretty much is like, okay, so you know the concept of you take your ball and you go home,
Yeah.
right? Like Elon Musk did that with business in California. He was
Mm-hmm.
tired of how California was treating him, and he took his ball and he went home to Texas, in all places,
Yeah.
right?
Even
Okay.
though that wasn't his home, but yeah,
Yeah, he
took
left.
his
He left
ball
the
and
court. He
left.
said, "Screw you guys. I'm playing somewhere else." He grabbed his ball, which is his company's, and he went somewhere else, right?
Right.
And you can do that because you can go flourish somewhere else. Once you drop a nuclear weapon, you've pretty much ruined the court. That's the equivalent of saying, dude, grabbing your ball and then destroying the court, so no one
Yeah.
else could ever use it again, right?
Right.
It's a court you wanted, so that's like saying, if I can't have it, nobody will, right? And boom. But it doesn't just stop there. You know, you're poisoning the air. I mean, like, you know, no one's dropped them after Japan, because
Right.
people know that there's no coming back from it,
There's no coming back.
right? And no one's dumb enough to do that because, you know, everybody else has them too now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Making that move is pretty much saying, like, you know, let's give up and let's let a few generations later work this out, because that's how long it's going to take before society
Yeah.
comes back together.
And that's like, man, that suck. It doesn't, like, kind of going back to, like, did America have to do that? Did they?
Well, we didn't exactly know the long-term effects of it. We did not know that, because you got to realize we didn't know the long-term effects, because if we did, we would not have tested it on ourselves.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We tested it here. I mean, freaking, it was at the Arizona desert. We actually tested it here, and we had troops watching it to see what the effect would be.
Yeah.
They didn't really expect all the stuff that came with it, right?
Right.
And after they tested it, they didn't wait long enough to see the long-term effects. Because if they had seen the long-term effects of what happened to us, they may not have done that, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, so I don't think Russia's going to... See, the only reason why I'm scared, I mean, the country that would do it would be North Korea, because North Korea, they're pretty... It's like I guess as Trump would call it, it's a shithole. I mean, like, you know, the people are starving, right?
People are starving.
They
It's
have
a
no
military
trade with the
regime.
world. Yeah, it's
They actually believe that this guy is the supreme leader, which
Yeah.
is a total
a
lie.
God-given thing to him, right? You know,
Yeah, like
And
it's a whole bunch of stupid stuff that they believe.
yeah, it's insane, and they have nuclear capability, right? That's the one place that would do it, because, you know, things ain't getting better for them anytime soon anyway.
And then they're gonna blame America for it anyway.
Yeah.
It's actually a Japan type of situation. Oh, America has us blockaded. We need to strike.
Yeah,
Where it's like, come on, bro. Like, nobody really thinks about you until you started shooting rockets in the air.
yeah,
To be honest with you, and really, he's testing because he really does want to nuke us, and he doesn't even have a real reason.
I mean, and the thing about it is, he hasn't got much to lose. I mean,
He don't got nothing to lose. He'll lose his life.
Look at what he's in charge of. I mean, look at his country. There's not a lot there that they can build on, right? I mean,
True.
in order for them to progress as a country, he'd have to radically change his government and his policies. I mean, like, it's for him, it's shameful, right? He'd have to go back on everything he said, so it ain't happening.
Yeah, I know. Because I mean, if some of them people came or were able to actually go to other countries, and you realize how dumb what you guys believe in is, yeah, it'll be over for his country.
And so, but then comes the question. I mean, like, are borders set now? I mean,
I believe they are, but
I mean,
they changing.
Can a country like Russia, because if Russia does go full on with Ukraine, not nuclear, if Russia goes and commits the bulk of its forces to take Ukraine, will any country actually step in with a military to help? Because, I mean, they can give aid all they want. They can give money. They can give supplies. They can give weapons all they want, right? But will a country step up and risk its citizenry to do it?
I mean,
Right? We don't know.
you know,
We don't know yet.
I think it will only happen if it was a lie. Like, oh, Russia struck us with a missile.
Well, no,
It
let's
was
say
like
Russia
did
does
that.
fully commit to jumping into the Ukraine. I mean, so Russia is not going to attack any of its allies. They're just going to focus on Ukraine, commit all its military power to steamrolling these guys, right? Will anybody actually step up, right? Because none, like, think about it. If you were the head of another country, none of your people are dying.
Nope.
Right? None of your people are dying. You're sending missiles, you're sending jets, you're sending tanks, you're sending money, right? But you're not risking any of your people's lives. Are you going to send your guys in there? Now you are. And the thing is it's Russia, right? Russia is freaking huge. Okay, nobody doubts their military capability, right?
No.
If you send in your troops against Russia after they're done with the Ukraine, they're definitely coming after you because you just declared war on Russia, right? So it's like it's one of those calling people's bluffs thing, right?
Yeah.
You don't know if Russia's sitting there going, all these guys are like protesting my moves, but will any of them actually go to war with me? As Putin's thinking that. Putin's thinking, will any of them actually go to war with me?
No.
Right? And, they can take anybody. They can take anybody on. They can't take them all on. Right? But
It'll have to be all of Europe versus Russia.
yeah. Okay.
I think they'll put them in his place, though, to be honest with you.
See, or it could be China against Russia. That's like, no, the pretty much all of Europe against Russia is one thing, or China against Russia is another one, or us against Russia.
Honestly, I don't think China and Russia will go against each other because I think they have like an alliance right now.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever go to war with Russia. Like, really, and it will be amazing if Trump actually stops the war.
Yeah.
If he stops the war in Ukraine, I might have to put him on the ballot of the greatest president of all time. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think he actually can do it because after he did the little peace, what did he do with Russia and Alaska? It was like a peace talk.
Russia.
They were just
and
in Alaska.
Dude, Alaska's us.
No, I'm sorry. They met in Alaska. Like Trump and Putin met in Alaska and they spoke. And like now they want to build a bridge between Alaska and the Bering Strait. I mean,
Remember, the Bering Strait was a bridge. There was in the old days that's how the Americas got populated. The Bering Strait was an existing land bridge during Ice Age or whatever, and the
it'll freeze over.
Yes, and the people of that area. That's why Native Americans and all the natives in America, Canada, North America, South America, they're all one people. They're all basically Eskimo types. I mean, they're all from Russia, they're from northern Russian area. They're Asiatic is what they are. That's why when you look at old Native Americans, they look like old people from Kamchatka. Which is kind of weird. It's like, oh, look, it's an old Native American, it's an old Chinese person. They look the same.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I see. I get it. I mean,
so it's weird. I mean, like, we'll never fight them because,
I wouldn't want to fight.
It's really hilarious, though, how much access Trump and Putin have to each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think it's nothing wrong with it. It's just one is at war, and it's like, come on, man. Like, I feel like Trump is like, come on, bro. Like, stop this. Like, it's unfair now. Because I like it. Like, you making us spend all this money because they're coming to us.
Yeah, but here's
you know what I'm saying? They coming to us, and we
do what? Why are the borders? Why is the map set?
Why is the map set?
I mean, like, it's a societal thing that makes it set. Right? Can Russia annex a small country and make it part of them? Yeah.
They did. They did that with Crimea.
Yeah, they have. But why are other countries stepping in to?
Because it's like after you do Ukraine, what you gonna do next?
That's exactly it, right? So
it's like, what else are you going? What you gonna try to do? Poland next?
Yeah, I mean, it is a gigantic bluffing game. It is a big game of poker, right? I guess the only countries that don't have anything to worry about are the countries that have nothing to give, right?
Right.
They got nothing that Russia wants.
I mean, because I mean, at the end of the day, I would have. I remember I was like, people was like, "Man, I'm wrong for this," but I would have let Russia and Ukraine unify if Ukraine was kind of with it. But like, I think like one of the things that I saw, right, that they talked about Crimea, because I didn't know, I never thought about going to Crimea. I heard Crimea was cracking.
It is.
Like
Yeah.
I heard it was like a player's paradise, and then Russia came back and took it over, and now it's like ultra Orthodox Christian. Like it's not cracking no more, and it's like okay, I don't want them to take over nothing else. Y'all got Crimea, leave Ukraine alone.
Well, no,
That's when I changed
I
my
think
tune.
Crimea is still a happening place.
You think it's under Russian rule?
Well, dude, remember, Russia is not what people think it is, because people think it's something because of what it was, right?
Mhm.
Russia is. I mean, they say they're socialist. They're not. I mean, Russia is capitalist.
Capitalism, yeah.
I mean, Russia.
They have free enterprise.
Russia is like America was years ago, right? Russia's a better place for capitalism than here right now,
Mm.
right? The people have fully embraced it, right? And the reason they fully embrace it is they've lived in a world under socialism, and they all know it sucks. Okay, the only people who've ever lived under socialism that want it back are people with no goals.
The only people who want it back are in New York. They about to go. They about to go be.
Well, no. Remember, New York doesn't want. New York's never felt it. They don't want it back. They want to try it. Right.
They want to try socialism after watching everybody say it's whack.
See, nobody has ever lived under it and wanted it back, except for those people who basically don't want to work. Right?
Yeah,
If
true.
if you just want to scrape on by with what the government doles out to you in a bread line, you'd rather do that than work to earn something. You want socialism, right? If you basically, because under socialism everybody receives the same thing, right? You know, there's no difference in terms of lifestyle between a doctor and a janitor. And not that we're knocking people who are janitors, but there's a different level of education, and normally in a capitalist society, there's a whole different level of lifestyle between those two, right?
So
a lawyer,
guess,
like a lawyer and a bank clerk, right? There's a big difference, right? Under socialism, they're the same, right? The government provides everything. So you're all the same. I mean, like, you know, nobody. So like, if you're that guy who wants to, like, I don't know, file papers for the government, and do nothing else with your life, and you want to earn the same level of money as a doctor, they're socialism. Okay. Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember when there was Raymond's a bit young, but when there was a Cold War and you actually saw cars in Russia? So when they had movies that showed the Russian side of things, right? Dude, even party members drove really crappy cars. They were made by the Russian government, and they were awful. They were awful cars, and party leaders would be driven around in these crap cars. Okay, everybody had the same everything. Right? It's just, who wants that? Right? Who wants to not be rewarded for innovation? Right? That's what New York is flirting with right now. New York is flirting with a system that is like that, which is crazy.
I don't think it's going to work. I think it will probably come to a point where we just like, man, we got to let them fail. We got to let them fail. And then
but how does that work? If they become like that, how does that?
Well, okay, so this is what's different. This is the difference between that and between real socialism and what you can do in the U.S., right? Especially as a single state. They can't pay everybody the same. That's not how it's going to work. What they're going to do is they're going to provide all these services to everybody.
So there'll still be a level of payment.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, no, I mean, jobs will be jobs, but they will they will provide everything. They'll try to provide like
Healthcare.
housing at a certain level. They'll provide, so like, they talk about universal, it's like, oh shoot, like, like a universal income. So everyone has a universal income at a certain level. It's like, receiving SS from day one,
Mm-hmm.
right? They'll have health care, free school, everything will be free. Everything that you normally pay for from a governmental standpoint will be free, right?
Mm.
But here's the problem, and this is where they're going to really run into issues. Where's the money come from the state to provide all that? The state can't ask for it from the federal government, because the federal government will look at you and say, "You guys want socialism? Have fun with that." They ain't going to give them nothing, right?
Yeah, that's what's happening in Chicago.
Yeah, it's going to come from the state taxpayers. The state will increase all their state taxes to cover all the costs of this stuff.
Mm.
That's what they'll do. And so what's going to happen is if that happens, all the people who are making a lot of money and not effectively minimizing are going to leave. Like, look, that's one of the reasons why Musk left California. He was sick and tired of paying for all the stupid stuff that California wanted. And he left. And they have the right to.
Yeah.
I was just watching a video talking about Puerto Rico. And I don't even know how this works, okay? Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. Okay, people born in Puerto Rico are Americans.
Yeah.
Okay, but they don't pay taxes the same way that we do.
Yeah, you pay less.
They don't pay anything.
Isn't it a state?
Yeah,
or is it a country?
There's no federal taxes there.
There's no federal or local. I mean, federal or state.
So I got to look more into this. Okay, but get this.
Because that's where Logan Paul and Alex Monopoly and all of them there.
So this video talked about Logan Paul making the move to Puerto Rico. So this is the rule. So if you invest in Puerto Rico, okay, and you commit to living there, okay, you got to spend 6 months there or something like that, then you can be a Puerto Rico investor, and you pay 4% tax. That's it, flat 4%.
So you telling me like Puerto Rico is like the Monaco of the West?
Yeah. And so AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was complaining about that. That shouldn't be done. That's like, she said that, okay, what she says is that bit of legislate that happening in Puerto Rico is going to create an imported ruling class. That's her thing. That's what she actually said, that it's going to create an imported ruling class of people. So all these billionaires and millionaires will move to Puerto Rico, and they'll have so much more money than the people in Puerto Rico, and they'll instantly form this ruling class, right?
So,
but it's a scenario of, a rising tide. Wait, how does it go? The tide raises all ships. I mean, like, it doesn't matter if when the money flows into Puerto Rico and they start spending it there. Okay, everybody's going to benefit, right? People will spend more money in the locally owned restaurants, Puerto Rico, right? There'll be more jobs. Puerto Rico will benefit from this influx of capital. Okay, and they charge 4%. That 4% on multi-billion dollars of income coming in is quite a bit of money for an island nation.
It is a lot of money. Like, I mean, shoot, even if they was getting 10, it's like, man, that's life changing for Puerto Rico. I think more people should move.
They're getting 4. They're gunning for 4%.
So I mean, look, you get 4% tax. That's it.
Yeah.
And I understand like the Paul brothers. Like, shoot, earth my turf. I train in Puerto Rico. I'll come over here when I need to.
See, so it's not just high end. So there's been a couple billionaires that have gone there, right? But there's they interviewed one lady who's she's a psychologist or psychiatrist. She does she's running her practice from Puerto Rico. She does everything by telehealth. She does all her meetings on Zoom, and she consults, and let's say she's making $300 or $250 a year, right?
Right.
By moving to Puerto Rico, she's effectively stopped me. Like, she was probably paying close to 30 something, going down to 4. That's a massive change. Plus the quality of life is excellent. Right?
Yeah.
She lives on the beach. She lives on the beach. And the infrastructure is good. So there's good internet, and it's going to get better with all these billionaires moving in. And so there's a ton of pushback, but there's not a lot of pushback from. So there is some pushback from Puerto Ricans. Yes, there are some people who are complaining about it. Okay, but I don't think that these complaints are coming from ground level people. Okay, because they're doing. That's a lot of money flowing in that country.
Yeah. Like anybody who complains, it's like, man, what you complaining about?
What is it? Is it a country? Or it's a territory? It's a U.S. territory.
It's a territory, yeah.
Right. So what's crazy is Puerto Ricans are Americans, but they don't pay taxes like Americans do. Go figure. Right. So So there's that. Okay. So there's that situation. So what Puerto Rico did? Now Puerto Rico is in trouble. This is a move trying to dig their way out of trouble. Okay. They've resisted these kinds of policies in the past, and so what they've done now is I guess is he a president? Whoever is the leader of Puerto Rico is saying they've laid off a lot of government workers. They've closed down a lot of government programs. And the reason why is because how can you maintain a bunch of government programs and government workers when you can't pay for it? So they're not like the U.S. that can go into debt. Right, America can go, and we don't want to because remember, who do we go into debt to? Who loans us this money that we go into debt to? Only really one country can do it. It's China.
What? Oh yeah.
Okay, that massive debt that we have, that's who we owe. Okay, so I don't think Puerto Rico has the financial rating to borrow from China because China's looking at it going, you'll never pay us back. Like, dude, we'll freaking break your kneecaps and break all your fingers. You still ain't going to pay us back.
It's crazy that a country that was broke after communism, now you owe them money. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we owe China, what is it, $1 trillion? I mean, it's massive.
How though?
What's that? No, the reason why is because we just keep spending money we don't have. That's how it happened. And how does China have the money? Dude, look at their population. They're the biggest economy out there right now. They have more. Remember, once they stopped being communists effectively, they suddenly had a bunch of people who wanted to buy stuff. Think about it. They're big. They are the biggest population in the entire world. There's no country with more people than China. Right. And now they're not communists anymore, really. They say they are, but they are not. Okay. I mean, I don't even know why they're holding on to the word communist. It's just they're too stubborn to let it go. Right. And true, it's quasi-communist because the government owns a chunk of everything. Right. It's like the government's an investor in everything, technically, is what it is. Okay. But there's private ownership. So the government has a piece of your company, but you have more than they do. So it's like you have a little bit of a silent partner. And that's why China has so much money. Think about that. They own a piece of every business that operates within their borders. The government's rolling. They just have, they're rolling in dough. Okay. And they're people. Dude, in Asia, there are Chinese people traveling everywhere, buying everything. Okay, you go to like in the Philippines, they've got Hermes out. I mean, they have Hermes. I don't want to say outlets. They have Hermes boutiques. They have legitimate like super high end stuff, and you go there, and it's all Chinese and Japanese people spending crap loads of money, dude. If you go to Beverly Hills, there are just tourist buses full of Chinese people spending crazy money on all these luxury goods. Like, okay. My son was working at Nordstrom before he became a manager for Starbucks. He was working in fragrances at Nordstrom. He moved up the ladder pretty quick there, right?
Yeah.
And there are rules that they have. They can't sell. So Asian people will walk in trying to buy everything.
Oh.
They'll buy all the high-end fragrances to resell them in Asia.
Oh.
So some Chinese person will walk in and just drop $100,000 on fragrance and walk out with it, right? They're not allowed to sell it to them. They're not allowed to sell it to them because they're not going to consume it here. It's going to be taken overseas and it's going to dilute the market there. They have money. They have a lot of money to spend. And there's a lot of demand for luxury goods because that's their economy. So, yeah. So, I mean, how can China not have a ton of money? When you have that many people with that much disposable income spending that freely. Right? So that's why we owe them a ton of money. Because we just keep spending money we don't have.
That's crazy.
And the reason why we spend money we don't have is we're running programs we don't have money to support. So we borrow the money to support the programs that people want.
And so I thought it was all coming from taxpayers. So it's not coming from taxpayers.
Oh no, dude. The money that comes from taxpayers to pay for stuff is always short. That's why we go into debt. We go into debt to support all these programs that are, I mean, many of them are super inefficient. You know that. I mean, like, the government contractors, crazy overcharging, right? They don't they really don't pay attention to what they spend, right? So when you have a government contract, you can tuck a whole bunch of stuff in that they'll never notice because there's so many contracts going across so many desks that nobody has a chance to like look through every line item. So you can pad things like, like I did a contract. What did I mean, this isn't even a federal thing, right? I wanted a bunch of equipment, right? That I mean, like I said, I'm going through this contract and I'm like, okay, I want all this equipment. I put it into the contract, right? And it got paid for, right? So I like, all this specialty tools for building computers. I got a bunch of stuff, right? Toss it into the contract, inflate the number, and they went for it. They don't look.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, that's the problem. So, but now let's talk about Puerto Rico. They don't have the borrowing. See, the reason we have the borrowing ability is there's a financial rating for countries. Not every country can borrow like we do, right?
Right.
We have good credit, right? So we have good credit and we're good for it. I mean, like, we're good for the debt. So they'll give it to us, right? They'll let us, like, we're suckers spending too much on our credit cards, essentially, is what the U.S. is doing. Okay, but Puerto Rico doesn't have that luxury. Puerto Rico can't borrow money to cover its debt. Puerto Rico can't borrow money to cover its programs that it can't afford. So what do? They shut them down. Right? The programs they couldn't afford, shut them down because they can't pay for them. Right? So imagine if the U.S. couldn't borrow money and there's a bunch of programs that need money to keep going and the U.S. doesn't have it. The taxes have all been collected. It's not enough. What happens? Well, they're forced to shut that crap down.
Yeah, they do a government shutdown.
Well, no, beyond government shutdown, they remember some of these programs aren't even government. They're supporting. They're granting stuff. I mean, like, remember, the government shutdown is not because they can't afford to keep going.
It's because they can't agree to keep going.
Yeah, they can't agree on a budget. That's why there's a shutdown. Okay, and that's what they argue about. They argue about, well, you're asking for stuff that we can't afford, right? We have to create a budget, and here's the number that we have to spend. It's like the budget that we're proposing and you're proposing. If we combine so if we have all of our items and all of your items, there's some stuff that they agree on, obviously, but you take all. It's more than is available. Right. So yeah. So the government shuts down because they can't agree. Right. But yeah. So they got to cut the fat out. They got to figure out what can we cut. Who can get less money. Who needs what they are asking for. What programs don't we need.